for joining me for another Shoutcast. This is a 1 vs 1 game played on Golden Cliffs, and as per the usual, I will skip the first part, since up to the point of building your sawmill, the builds will be nearly identical every game. Not a whole lot of variation. Perfection to get it done correctly, but the way it's done is always the same. So, to just get the game going and not waste any time, we'll just go ahead and skip the beginning phase, we can call it. Anyway, this is Mexican T versus Koczis. Mexican playing on location 2, and Koczis is playing down here on location 4. And I want to point out some aspects that could be critical in a 1 vs 1 game anyway, and that's that on Koczis' location, you see this coal here is supposed to be shared between the player on 3 and location 4. Of course, it's 1 vs 1, there's nobody up here. Koczis could take all of this coal. Sometimes players make an agreement to not take this. It's kind of a gentleman's agreement. Don't take this coal, or don't take all this coal, rather. There's a maximum of coal mines you can build here, but nothing is really stopping Koczis from doing so. And a bit harder to prevent, in fact, not really practical at all, is the fish here on location 2 and 5. There's 80 fish here, and it's pretty easy for location 2 to have absolutely no problems with fish, as he's going to get 80 here, and I believe there's, what, 20, 30 down here? An additional fish in this pond, and even some over here. So he's got at least 100 fish, probably quite a bit more that he can take. Now, fish isn't a really big advantage anyway, so I mean, it's really not that big of a deal. But either way, it is something to point out when you're playing a 1 vs 1 game. Anyway, we'll see how everyone's doing. You notice that Mexican went iron before gold, which is quite unusual, and in doing so, he is definitely suffering on some production here. You can see he has absolutely no gold already, and we'll see if his surf count reflects that. No, not really. Mexican and Koczis seem to be neck and neck on the amount of citizens they've trained. And then Mexican has a nice advantage of having his iron going already. You see Koczis doesn't even have his iron mine done. So you can see he did gain quite a bit from doing that. Does have fewer farms than Koczis. He will be erecting his 4th farm pretty soon, and Mexican is sitting kindly on 2 farms. So we'll see what he makes of it. And this is something, oftentimes when I play, if I suspect that my iron's going to be a tad late, I'll store the first iron bar, and then I'll block. So I'll have 1 iron bar in my storehouse, because you can see at this point, this iron mine, iron smithy is not working. It's not a big deal, since he's a little short on coal, and iron smithy works faster than iron mine anyway. But it's still not ideal, and you can see he has going weapon smithy right away, so he's going to be making expos, actually, which is quite interesting. So we'll see some interesting army from Mexi here. He goes expos. I wonder if they had an agreement to do something interesting before the game. Sometimes players will do that. Go abnormal strategies just for the fun of it. So we'll have to go see what Koczis is doing. But in the meantime, Mexi has weapon production well before 30 minutes, so he'll have a nice stream of expos and whatever else he might transition into. He'll probably switch into knights later on, so he'll build you can see it already, he's going to build the 2nd armor workshop, or smithy, and then transition into swords in a bit. Probably, but we will see. I thought this was going to be a weapon smithy. I was going to say, well, nope, he's going to continue making expos and maybe pikes, but no, it's a sawmill, so we'll see where he goes with that. Still only 3 farms. I suspect Koczis is up to 5 by now, and yes, he is working on a 6th. But you can see his iron is very slow in comparison, not even having his first weapons or armor smithy done at 30 minutes, so he's going to get tops 28 swords, I'm going to say. If it works perfectly, he can get more, but I don't see it happening. If your iron is this late, you really want both armor smithies to be done back to back quick, and this is just lots of delays, and obviously is not ideal, but I do want to point out he has 6 farms, which is pretty nice for Golden Cliffs at 32 minutes. So that should help him get a little bit of extra food, a little bit of extra leather, and maybe a few horses, depending on what he does. He's going to go stable at the 3rd building as opposed to the 4th, so he'll have maybe 10 horses if it works nicely. And that will help remedy the iron situation here. Though I do want to point out he's got a nice 6 farms, but look at this, there's corn piling up and doing nothing, so for the moment it's a problem, but the stable and extra swine farm, they will consume it nicely, and we'll see nothing too much to criticize over here. We'll see what Mexi's doing, if he did indeed transition into swords. Not yet. He's still going expos only, and still up in the air whether he will switch into swords or not. He is not making a stable at this time, and I don't suspect he will anytime soon because his farms are pretty late, and if he makes a stable he could starve, but maybe that's what the plan with the fish is. Only one fisherman though, so I don't know. I do not know what he is doing. The iron seems to be working quite nicely. A little bit of delays, you can see this one is not stocked up super nicely, but he's working on his 3rd. Yeah, his 3rd iron smithy. Yep, you can see them all here. 1, 2, 3, and that's quite nice. Whereas Koczis is sitting on 2 only, not even a 3rd iron mine. So Mexi has a pretty nice advantage with the iron. They're equal on farms right now too, but Koczis' were earlier. Again, they were idle a little bit because of overflow. Yeah, so Koczis' earlier farms is not a huge advantage. I think we can safely say Mexi is in the lead here, but obviously he's going expos, which is generally considered weaker than going for swords. And we see it here that he has an additional weapon smithy, so he is going to go only expos, maybe some pikes later on. So no swords from Mexi this game, no stable either. He might trade for a horse or 2 for scouting, but at this time he's not going for knights. We'll see how Mexi's expos are doing. And it's hard to say. I'm not sure what a standard amount of expos would be on Golden Cliffs. It's something I haven't seen in so long. I don't even remember what a nice amount to have would be. He's going for some lances also. So just pumping out spam. Obviously, you can produce a lot more expos and lance carriers than you can sword fighters and bowmen. But I don't think his gold is quite strong enough to produce that much. You kind of need 3 metallurgists if you're making expos and lances, especially if his gold was late like it was. You see, he had gold after his iron, so he's not going to have those extra gold chests piled up in his storehouse. So he might have some problem with gold. He'll probably trade for a bunch, and that will make use of his surplus weapons and will enable him to continue spamming. Obviously, it'd be better just to have the gold, so I still think a 3rd metallurgist will be nice, but I don't think Mexi will ever make a 3rd gold smelter, except in extreme dire circumstances, or if he's doing trading away gold for corn like he does sometimes in rush strategies, but that's another tale. And I really like Koczis' base. It's quite compact. His woodcutters do have quite a long road here, but they're working nicely, and it's again quite compact for the size of it. He's got 8 farms working on a 9th, I believe. Yes, he's gonna make a 9th farm up here, which I do like. I am a fan of this late game farming, and a lot of players will put some woodcutters over in this area, but I think these ones up here are nicer because you'll be able to make a quick road from here over to these coal mines. And of course, you need towers up here a bit more in 1 versus 1, so that'll be nice as well. So, nice advantage building up here as opposed to the right side. He is missing out on this fish though. Just saying. And this looks like a really nice army, but you'll have to give me a moment to count it out, because he's got a lot of armor from the looks of things, but lacking in the swords, so he's going obviously for his popular strategy he's been doing lately of combining pikes and swords. He says he hasn't perfected it yet, but this is pretty dang good, it looks like. So we have 20 plus 15. About, so I mean 35, so a little extra armor to spare, and the swords, the shields is almost spot on. Axes to wooden shields, also quite nice, so he is pretty decent army there. I think I'm lacking a few recruits. Mexi lacking a lot of recruits, like I said, and that's only going to get worse unless he trades for a bunch, and in fact, I think he already was trading. You can see there's some gold in the market already. So, I mean, he only has enough to make the expos, which he has quite a bit of. And a big advantage of going for expos is if you manage to save them after the first fight, or at least a majority of them, and this is especially exaggerated in team games when you can save your bows and they'll continue fighting throughout the game and it's not over after the first fight, etc. If you save your expos after the first fight, you still have your powerful iron units, whereas your opponent's sword fighters are all gone. So you've lost all your axe fighters and lance carriers and whatever, but he's lost his sword fighters, and though he's probably done got quite a bit of kills and may have done a bunch of damage, if you manage to hold on to your expos and you can feed them, you'll keep your powerful units throughout the game. And a good player, I can't remember who said this, I think it was Bloodmaster, but a good player, no, maybe it was Romic, this sounds like something Romic would say, but anyway, a good player knows how to keep his ranged alive, and if Mexi does just that, he can have a pretty nice advantage as this one giant brick of expos mows down Koczis' soldiers. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. Mexi didn't end up getting any horses at all, so he's scouting with lances, which is actually pretty decent because most people won't engage lances one-on-one, knight to lance, because the lance can win, and a lance is extremely cheap, so there's no shame in losing one. And again, they do have a pretty good chance of killing the knight, so if your opponent's scouting with one knight, they're not going to engage your lances unless you're about to scout some crucial territory. Then they might go ahead and swoop in and stop that lance from advancing, but for the most part, if you can't scout with horses, scout with something that counters horses, such as pikes and lances. But anyway, we see these guys mobilizing. One thing to note is that expos got a nice boost in the latest version of the remake, and that's that shields are less effective at guarding crossbow bolts as they are with bowmen. So a nice benefit of having expos is to counter knights and sword fighters, but the problem is Koczis is going for pikes a lot lately. So I don't know if that's something Mexi had in his game plan from the beginning, because, you know, again, pikes fall really fast to Expos, but they'll fall very fast to bowmen just as easily, so something to keep in mind. Basically, he's forfeiting a big bonus of the Expos. There's still some knights over here. And another nice thing about Expos is that if your opponent's not paying attention, one volley can kill strong units. Knights will die in a single volley of Expos oftentimes. So, whereas bows, you have to get a couple volleys in and your opponent can react by then. So, Expos can do a nice job doing these sneak volleys and get some kills in. But anyway, here we go. Koczis is surrounding Mexi on many sides, and these Expos are only going to be able to shoot generally in one direction. This is the area they really should be shooting, is on these knights. And doing a good job preventing these knights from flanking. He's going to send most of these soldiers up here probably to hold, because this side seems to be losing. Bottom looks okay, but it's going to be falling. Okay, so he's splitting and going both ways. And this really looks like it could go either way at this point. These Expos are just getting kills everywhere. No knights are going to survive this fight, so he's not going to be able to chase down these Expos. And here we go. Is he going to lose a lot of Expos? Here's something where Expos are going to shine. Pikes don't have enough attack to kill Expos head to head. So as long as he just keeps these Expos here, facing the pikes, these guys in the back row are going to kill these pikemen. No problem, really. And there we go. It came out pretty even. You can see the axe fighters stand no chance. They will die so fast. Expos. There we go. Koczis doing a good job. He saved a lot of his bows just there from the pikes, forcing Mexi to withdraw. So I don't know why I have Shofar on. It's not needed. Alright, and you can see, just like I said, Mexi saved a big brick of his Expos. And you can still see a lot of power from him, whereas Koczis saved his bowmen. And so Mexican's army is quite potent with this huge brick of Expos. It's going to be very hard for Koczis to push on that. He can just sit behind his Expos and let them get the kills. See how players' bases are doing, both guys. Yes, both are remaking their coal mines. These seem a little unused and neglected, so maybe Mexi should make some serfs. Doing a good job managing the resources in his barracks, though. Trading Expos away to horses, this is... well, whatever, right? Maybe if you have too many Expos, they're not doing you any good, and I would rather just shut weaponsmithy off, because this trade is kind of ridiculous. Maybe he only did one. He only wanted a single. Okay. Just for scouting purposes. Perhaps. Yeah, maybe that's what it was. Okay, so just one time. It's no big deal. Trade away 12 Expos for a couple of horses. That's a problem. Anyway, here we go. Mexi is very sure of his Expo power, so he is going to push ahead fast. And Koczis playing the part of two players here, attacking Koczis from two sides, which is probably what you want to do when your enemy has just got one big group of ranged. Doing some nice surrounding action if he's not quick on his feet and turning his Expos around. He do a pretty good job with some flanking, but Mexi's going to have none of it. He's chewing Koczis apart here. Koczis losing a lot of bows and attacking from all sorts of angles. There's a lot going on here. I should keep the speed low so I can keep track of everything here. There we go. Mexi is kind of surrounded, but it's no big problem for him just because he can just push and chase these guys away. In fact, these guys aren't gonna... Okay, he's going back down here now. Split his Expos. Wise move. And he's doing a really good job moving back and forth here. He's managing these crossbowmen perfectly. Koczis is just not able to get the damage done on these guys. Killing things so fast. This is interesting. Okay, so what's he gonna do? Okay, these pikes are all just gonna die. But he's gonna focus on the threat down here, which is the right decision. Would have been nice to not engage those pikes, but either way. There we go, and now he really wants to kill these to even out the lost pikes that he lost up here. So he's gonna go ahead and chase these down and kill them, no problem. Koczis really is gonna not do anything. He's just gonna lose these if he engages. Which he's going to. And these bows are just not able to match the damage output of these crossbowmen. This is really nice seeing crossbows doing such a nice part in the game. And okay, Koczis is coming with some reinforcements. Not a whole lot. Oh, but it's sketchier. Oh my gosh. Perfect split time. Okay, that could have been really bad. But Mexi is able to save his group of axe fighters there. And then here we go. Does Mexi have what it takes to feed these crossbowmen? Sure looks like it. He's got plenty of food in his storehouse. Double in and oh yeah, no problem. He's gonna feed these guys. And no doubt about that. Only 6 farms. Interesting. 6 farms. I thought for sure he would have 4 piggies, but no, he doesn't. Wow. Small base style. And you compare this to Koczis, who has 4 pig farms in a stable. He's just not able to kill Mexicans, so it's really, these expos are carrying the game. They really are working out for him. And he's doing a nice job feeding, and I'm sure by this point Koczis is getting a little frustrated because he knows he's not going to be able to kill these expos anytime soon. I don't know what he's doing with these guys. Does he see a scalp by Mexi? I don't know what he's doing over there. I don't know. I don't care. I also want to point out both players are not doing a unethical job with the fish. There's still some fish down here that can be taken. And okay, never mind. He is definitely abusing the fish, but I do want to point out Koczis is not doing anything too crazy with the coal, but maybe he's planning on it because I see he's building additional ones now. So both players are taking advantage of the resources that are not really theirs to take, but in a team game they wouldn't be, but that's alright. No big deal. It's not a huge advantage anyway. The coal, maybe so, but the fish, I mean, it's just fish. He is able to feed his expos though, so that is pretty nice. Okay, and this big stream of soldiers is killing these bows here. Koczis is pushing, but then being pushed back right away. And this is, well, if you can get these expos shooting, this would be really killer for Koczis, but okay, so Koczis is going to hold on a little longer. I thought it was over at that point, but no, Koczis didn't get his whole army caught there. Still so many expos. What do we have here? 3, 6, 7, 14, 21, 5. So about 50 expos here. 2 groups of 25 approximately. Give or take some. And there it is. I don't know what Koczis is doing. He's got half his army not in position. Just losing everything there for nothing. I don't know if he meant to go in, but then sent some back. Forgot some guys. I don't know what that was, but definitely wasn't good. And he really can't afford to lose anything right now with Mexi knocking on the door here. Mexican's being really, really active, paying attention all the time to the fight, moving his soldiers back and forth constantly. And all luck, he even has some guys up here to prevent Koczis from moving too far back. And that's exactly what these guys here, they're all gonna die, but it's all the delay. All he needed was that delay, and now it's pretty bad right here. There's also a fight now. Here I see. And Coach is doing whatever he can to try to get several angles on these expos, but there's really not much you can do. There's just so many of them. Here we go. Yeah, and Mexi is just continuing to not get flanked anywhere. Koczis is just splitting his army and getting nothing out of it. And these serfs are gonna just die as they go to... Okay, well, Koczis is gonna delete these coal mines as a last-ditch effort. He doesn't want his serfs to go picking up the coal. He could always just turn the delivery of wares of coal off to every building because he's gotten the coal mines down here. And he's not trading for it, but either way, it's over. If he wanted to hold on a while longer, though, it would have been better to just turn coal distribution off so he could keep his coal mines. But it's all over but the cry, and now Koczis' base is completely overrun by a madman with expos. So, gonna have one last fight here, and we will check out the stats. And there we go. You can see the soldiers equipped is almost equal, even though Koczis' base, you can see, was quite a bit... Well, it was definitely larger, but let's look at some things here. Mexi had more weapons produced. He didn't make horses, and he didn't make shields. And obviously you're going to have less soldiers made if you're making horses, and you're going to have way more if you're producing cheap soldiers like lances and expos and etc., like Mexi did. But you can see, wow, look at this curve. I've been seeing this a lot in the 1v1 games. These guys are just neck and neck. You can look at this, it almost looks like just one player here. But anyway, interesting though how close these were. Look at the army. This was also quite even, but you can see this. Mexi in the lead just about the whole game. I don't want to say either player camped, though. There was a lot of fights over in the location 1 area and in the swampy area between Koczis' location and location 1. So interesting game. Mexi was always in the lead though in the army count. Weaker soldiers, but still, I mean, those expos were quite a bit of power. Did he ever make swords? No, he never did. So no knights from Mexi this game. And look at this corn graph. This is going to be a huge difference where you can see in the extra size of the base. And Mexi shows you don't need a crazy large base and spam to win. Sometimes you just need the better tactics. And anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope you had a nice time. And watch out for big bricks of expos. Bye bye.